Hello everyone, my name is Neil Hari Prasad. I'm the sales rep for Jaltest in Trinidad and the Caribbean. Today we're going to do our third presentation with Jaltest, demonstrating how to use VIN recognition to recognize a vehicle and perform diagnostics. And secondly, we're going to use engine selection just in case when we search for the vehicle, you're not able to connect, you can still connect to the engine via engine selection. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing you want to do when you launch your software is you go to your main menu and you select configuration and you want to activate export mode. So you select your export mode, you select I have read and accepted terms and conditions, and you enter your export mode key and you select OK. So that's the first thing you want to do. The second thing you want to do is you want to select your Jaltest link and you want to set your communication mode. As you know, Jaltest, you could use both USB or Bluetooth to connect to the pass-through device. In this case, we're using USB and we are in a simulation mode. So we're using USB. You could use USB when connecting to trucks as well, or you could use Bluetooth. All right. If you're using USB, if you see that connection test and you're connected to a truck, then you should see the battery voltage of the truck, which should be around 23 point something volts. Same thing with Bluetooth. All right. So just a quick heads up about that. All right. So with this out of the way, now you want to go to your vehicle. In this case, your truck. You see like a truck. If you're doing, let's just say we're doing a Mercedes-Benz truck today. So if you select Mercedes-Benz software, and we are doing, well, we want to do a Tigo. You can select that, right? And then we come here now, we select the engine. So we search for the engine, and now you may not, on some vehicles, you may not see engine type. What you might see is unit pump system. And that's an indication of the engine system. So if you select the unit pump system, all right, you come here and you select your connection type. And this is a 16 pin, or serial connection 2. All right. So we're simply using a 16 pin. All right. Now we could hit connect. Now, if in case, right, we don't see a 16 pin and we see this type of connector, then you're going to have to use this connector from your kit. And what if you don't have this connector now? What will happen? Well, you could use multi-pins, right? And in multi-pins, right, if you have a multi-pin kit, multi-pin tells you need to connect your J213.9 to JTP 101. Now, your J213.9, right, is really this connection here. See, it said J213.9. That's a 16-pin connector. And what you're doing, you're connecting that, right, to your multi-pin. And your multi-pin is this here. So you see, they say JDC 213.9 plus JTP 101. This is JTP 101, right? This here, your multi-pin link is JTP 101. And this here, this little yellow female pin is JTP 4. So what it is saying here now in multi-pin is basically this. You're going to connect pin 4, right? So pin 4 is here. So you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the number item. You're going to connect this pin 4, right, to B of your multi-pin. And what is B? B is this yellow. So this yellow, you see this yellow jack here? That's pin B. And that pin B will go into this pin here, this female pin, JTP4. and this female pin will go into pin 4. This is what this is telling you. All right. So again, we'll recap this. So just in case, all right, you're faced with a vehicle without a 16 pin, and you have this type of connection, this type of diagnostic connector, but you don't have the diagnostic connector for it, all right? Then you could always use multi-pins, and multi-pin is this type of connection here. And you see, the software here is telling you, right, that pin 4 on the diagnostic port on the vehicle is connected to pin B of the multi-pin. Pin B is this pin yellow here. And this pin yellow will go into this female pin, and this female pin will go into this hole here, this pin 4. And with that, all right, you can see that connect. Now you may need an external power supply, all right. If you do, the system will tell you that, and you will just have to use your cigarette lighter to power up the pass-through device. So it's asking here now, is it a 4-cylinder or inline 6? Let's just select 6. Select OK. Right. Once you get into the system, all right, you should see a screen like this. And in this screen again, all right, you have your diagnostics, and well, this red X here that you see, right, is a present error. So this is the error, crankshaft position sensor. And then you have a second error, injector pump connection type, and injector pump connection bank 2. So all these are errors put it into this truck. This I here is really free soon data, when it occurred and so on, the date it occurred, and the hour and so on, and the one and the lamp is on. Alright, this question mark is for help and support. Help and support really gives you information about the trouble code, what it's split into, what it deals with. So you have that trouble code is an engine speed rate sensor in the crankshaft. And it is select that. Right? This is see information about this component. So here it is. So by selecting the question mark, they give you the location of the sensor, all right, on the engine, and then they tell you the crankshaft position sensor is mounted on the left hand side. This is just an explanation of about it. And then they give you a sensor range, so you can use your multimeter now to measure the resistance of the sensor to see if it malfunctioning. All right, and this is a signal of the sensor. All right, so this here you will use with your multimeter to check the sensor to see if it is out of range. If it is out of range, then you're going to have to replace it. Now, what if the sensor is not out of range? What if the sensor is good? What do we do from there? Well, you see, if there's a trouble code put into that sensor, and when you check the sensor with your multimeter, all right, and it's not that, then it has to be something else. So then what is it? What is it? Then you need to check your wiring diagram. Okay? So you need to check your wiring diagram, because if it's not the sensor, it's going to be most likely the wiring diagram. So you're going to come here to your diagrams here. Now, just a quick reminder that your diagrams, these your repair manuals, you're only able to access them via Wi-Fi. So you must have Wi-Fi or hotspot wherever you go. So if your cell phone has data, you could make it a hotspot and connect to Wi-Fi with your laptop, so that you will be able to benefit from the repair manuals. So we're at a point where the crankshaft sensor, you took out the crankshaft sensor, you measured the resistance, it looks good. So then what else? Well, you need to go to your wiring diagram here, and you need to check now to see if it's a wiring problem, which most likely it could be. So there you go. So in your wiring diagram, we need to locate the crankshaft sensor, and okay, so oil level sensor, oil pressure sensor, coolant, new, coolant, new, temperature, right? So let's see to diagram. Let's see, it must be here. Hmm. Engine speed rate sensor, crankshaft. So there you have it. So this is the crankshaft sensor, and there's a lovely picture showing you where the crankshaft sensor is located. Same picture as we saw before. So this is the crankshaft sensor, and luckily for us, there are really only two wires running to the crankshaft sensor. One at pin 2 and one at pin 19. So what you're going to do, you're going to take your multimeter and you're going to measure, do a continuity test from one end of the connector, one end of the connector to the other end just before it it plugged into the ECU. So you want to check this wiring harness here on either sides to check and see if there are any breaks in the circuit. So again, take your multimeter and check from one end of the connector to the other end to see if we get continuity. So most likely the problem could, if it's not the sensor, then it could be a wiring harness problem. And if it isn't that, then the last thing it could be is an ECU problem. One common one common signal that a crankshaft sensor is malfunctioning, you will have trouble to start in the morning or trouble to start any time of the day because the ECU usually uses the signal from the crankshaft sensor to start the engine. So, with that being said, all right, let's go back to the main menu, diagnostic menu. So, again, question mark is to show help, and of course, um, there's also the spanner mark, and whenever you see this spanner, it's really telling you about troubleshooting. So if you click on that, there's a trouble guidance uh, form, and they would tell you systematically, step by step, what to check. Check the unit pump, and they will tell you what to check. And then if it isn't that, you go to the second step, and they tell you to check this injector pump oil resistance. So you have to check it systematically, step by step, until you eliminate the problem or you find the problem once and for all. So this is the purpose of the four-port troubleshooting. Now, of course, error clearance. This is the clearly trouble code system data. This is ECU data. This will give you information about the ECU and chassis and so on. All right, go back and measurements. All right, measurements will give you parameters. All right, in this vehicle, you have 54 different parameters. So if you select all of them and select OK, right, you should see the parameters. Now, you see this little red bell? That red bell is a sign, there's an alert, there's a trouble alert happening. So that means something is wrong there in that circuitry or with that device. That's the purpose of that red bell, to alert you that something is definitely wrong there. So that is also very important. If you go back to measurements and system display, this is also a great tool to help in diagnosing problems, especially in diesel systems where uh, you're unsure about fuel pressure and so on. Diesel system generally, first of all, to start with, diesel system is a very sensitive system. Um, Bad fuel could affect the running of the engine. Poor pressure could affect the running of the engine as well. So with this system here, you're able to monitor the fuel from the time it leaves the tank to the time it reaches the injector and it is out of the injector. So with that system, if fuel leaves the tank, all right, you're monitoring the battery voltage here. This is through the ECU, all right. Then it goes through a pump, then it goes through a filter, and from the filter it goes to the injector. There's also a temperature reading of the fuel as it approaches the injector. Over here, you could tell the engine torque and the injector timing and so on. So if as you start the engine, you'll be able to see this in real time. And if anything is out of specification, all right, you could be able to see it from here. So this is a very important tool as well in diagnosis of diesel systems and commercial systems. So as we move on now, you have component activation, proportional valve, and so on. All these are other features within the engine system that you can activate and deactivate and so on. So system checks, all right? You have a vast variety, cylinder compression check. You can check the compression of the engine and so on with that. Cylinder comparison and so on. Fan regulation, you could turn on fan, things like that. All right, to check see if the fan, the operation of the fan is within specification. Parameters, modify parameters. Well, you can modify a lot of parameters on this vehicle to increase the performance. Um, some yeah, fan type, you can interfere with that. Diffusers, service range. All right, you can interfere with that as well. Service range. Well, what you could do, you could extend the service range of this type of vehicle. So if a general service range is 5,000, maybe you could do 6,000 right before the warning light comes on. So, so this is one of the areas you can modify in this vehicle. Of course, in some vehicles, a lot of these systems, when you see modify parameters, you can do injector coding and so on, recode injectors, these kind of things with parameters. So on the maintenance side, oil consumption measurement, and so on, um, you can monitor oil consumption and other things as well. So this is a basic truck. Um, Again, technical data, you will find torque settings and so on the engine, uh, diagrams, wiring diagrams, maintenance data, and so on, technical data. All these are repair information. So, with that being said, all right, what if, right? What if, what if we didn't? What if we didn't? Uh, what if we didn't? What if we didn't find it? What if when we went through the list here, we were going to scan a Mercedes-Benz truck, but we didn't find the model and the make? Or when we tried to connect a model or make that we thought was the model and make, we didn't receive communication or we got an error in communication. What do you do? Well, another way to find the truck, you see this little VIN sign here? Let's select it. You could take a picture of the VIN number of the truck and you enter it here in the 17-digit pin. When you enter it here, you select enter. When you select enter, what will happen is the make and the model of the truck will show up. So this is also another important way, another way that you could find the make and the model of the truck. If you find that going through the list is not helping, you could also do it like this as well. So, for example, you might try to scan a Mercedes-Benz truck, and you may not find the make and model, or in this case, we have the mechanic model, but whenever we try to connect to the mechanic model, we get an error in communication. So this could really be frustrating, and a lot of times too, we're not able to connect to the truck. So by entering the VIN number of the vehicle, we are able to connect to the truck, and the correct make and model of the truck will show up. So just enter the make and model and select enter on your laptop, and you should see the make and model show up. So with that being said now, what if after you did that, you still didn't see anything show up? Well, what you could do is just raise the hood of the truck, the bonnet of the truck, and try to find out the, the type of engine in the truck. All right. If you find out the type of engine, if it's a Mercedes Benz truck, chances are it's going to have a Mercedes Benz engine. So what you could do, you come here now, search by engine type, and you select Mercedes Benz. All right. And you could search the engine. So you select engine, select the connector type, select connect. And that way as well, you could connect to the engine. And there you go. So you not necessarily need to search the make and the model of truck. You could just go to engine in CV, Jaltest commercial vehicles, and just select the engine make, Mercedes Benz, and you'll be able to connect to the engine and diagnose the engine. So with that being said, all right, this brings us to the end of our third presentation in our, our series of Jaltest presentations on demonstrating how to use Jaltest. So until our next video, stay safe.